Alright, we're back with another one, and this is a battle between the Nexus 6 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. This is the battle of the phablets. So, this Samsung Note 5, let's just go right into it. It's a metal design, glass back. Now, glass back, we never had a problem when the iPhone 4 had a glass back, or when the Nexus 4 had a glass back. We had no issues with those devices with a glass back. So we're not going to have no issues with the glass back on the Note 5 because it actually feels good. It actually feels good. Yes, it does grab a little bit of fingerprints, a lot of fingerprints, but we don't have no issues with that. The Nexus now had a plastic back that I had to replace with a D-brand skin because it felt too unwieldy. It felt like I would have dropped the phone and I needed a little bit more grip. So I have the grip that I need right now with the Nexus 6. So the Nexus 6 is definitely the bigger device. You can definitely hide the Note 5 behind the Nexus. So the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is rocking the Exynos chip made by Samsung with 4 gigs of RAM and a 2K display. The Nexus 6 is rocking the Snapdragon 805 processor, which is a very good processor. Don't sleep on it. And it's rocking that same type of 2K display with 3 gigs of RAM. So in performance, these phones, there's no issues. There's no issues. The only issue I do have with the Nexus is that from startup, when you power it on, it really takes a long time to turn on. The Note 5 does start up a little faster. And when you need your phone to start up, sometimes you just don't want to wait that long. But it works out. So, more pixel density is in the Samsung. The Samsung got a more pixel display, and this Super AMOLED is definitely more colorful. The blacks are more black, the colors have more richness than the Nexus. Now, that can be something that you do like, or that could be something you dislike, but the Nexus definitely have a awesome display as well. In some cases, you might feel the Samsung is better. So, with the display, I guess we got to give it to Samsung. But when it comes to watching media on the device, I actually prefer the Nexus. Why? Because when I want to watch something, I'm getting that full display looking at me. And also, these front firing speakers are absolutely awesome. These front firing speakers, they tell the whole story.
That's ripped and caught by David Wright.
These front firing speakers, they just absolutely tell the story. Now, since we're talking about the screen and the picture, we just gotta go into the Note as well. The Note as well is no slouch in watching videos and taking in video. But at the same time, there's an issue because you're dealing with a mono speaker.
Give him a hit sign. Cut him loose. And a rocket to deep left field. Forget that. How far will it go?
So there you go, guys. So the speaker you heard is a loudspeaker. For a mono speaker, for one speaker right here at the bottom, it's a loudspeaker. But the speaker is absolutely no match for this Nexus. So watching media and listening to these speakers, so having that combination of looking at a crispy screen and listening to nice sound, you got to give it to the Nexus. Ain't no phone touching the Nexus on that. But in the speaker department, definitely the Nexus wins. But in the overall screen crispiness, pixel density, we gotta give it to the Note. Now, while we still in the front, call quality, I would say, is equal on both. Absolutely equal on both. Now, when it comes to lock screens, you're definitely gonna choose Samsung. This fingerprint scanner is absolutely boss. This fingerprint scanner is perfect. It just works. Now, give you guys a quick demonstration. I'm going to take off the gloves and I'm going to show you how accurate this is. So you touch the home button, place your finger there, unlock. I programmed 3 fingers and it works every time. Let me use the other thumb. Every time, 100%. Now, unless you put your finger the wrong way, you know, then obviously it's not going to work. But it just works. So when it comes to getting in the phone, security of the lock screen, we got to give it to Samsung. This fingerprint scanner is definitely on point. Now, what Motorola and Google should have done was put a fingerprint scanner in the back. If they put it on the back of this device, this thing would have been the bomb, because with this dimple, your finger automatically migrates there. So you can definitely look forward to that. To the next Nexus, they're gonna have that fingerprint scanner in the back. Now, we're still in the front-facing cameras. Gotta give it to Samsung. They're going with 5 megapixels, and the Nexus is 2 megapixels. Enough said. You're gonna get a better front-facing camera with the Samsung Note 5. Now, let's go to the back. With the overall design of the 2 backs, I gotta give it to Nexus. It just looks awesome. When you put this phone down on the table, it just looks boss. It just looks like you got a great designed phone. So when it comes to the way the back looks, even without this deep brand skin, it looks boss. But the Note 5 is no slouch either. So in the looks department, you gotta give it, I gotta give it to the Nexus. I think the Nexus look just a good look, more of a good looking phone. But other than that, the Samsung Note 5 got some extra features back here where basically it can take your pulse and so forth. It got a lot of fitness stuff there, which I haven't gone deeply into. But in the fitness department, we got to give it to Samsung. They got it going on. Now, with this camera, we're talking 16 megapixel versus a 13 megapixel. Both of them have OIS. Matter of fact, the Samsung have something new called VDIS, which I really don't know what that means. But all I know, they're both stabilized when it comes to video and so forth. They're both stabilized. 16 megapixel is going to beat this 13 megapixel because Samsung just know how to do camera. But the Nexus is no slouch. No slouch at all. So when it comes to video, when it comes to taking pictures, we got to give it to Samsung. They definitely rocking that right there. Okay. So button placement. This is just my little gripe. I think having power button and the volume buttons on the same side is not going to work for me no more. Having the power button on one side and having the volume keys on the other side, it just works. No matter how you hold the phone, it just works. You're able to realize which buttons you're touching and so forth. So that's easily, you ain't making no mistakes. So when it comes to button placement, I got to give it to Samsung. Definitely got to give it to Samsung. So get right into it. The camera's crispy on both, but when it comes to camera, video, 4K, they both can do it, but Samsung is a little bit better. Now, when it comes to the OS, when it comes to using the phone, functioning through stuff, you know, I love stock Android, but this is not a Google Now launcher. This is a theme. I'm going to show you guys right now. This is a theme. Don't think I changed something. This is a material design theme just to get this closer to Android. You know, closer to my stock Android. So I'm going to apply the way Samsung normally looks, the way it's supposed to look. And we're going to talk about the functions of this Nexus. So scrolling through apps, not an issue. Being able to have the phone and do some extra features of that always listening features. Now, the Nexus can always listen to you when charging or when not charging. whether the screen is on or the screen is off, your Nexus is listening to your voice and listening to your command. Now, when it comes to Samsung, it's not listening while the screen is off. Screen is off. Any screen, you can basically get into your phone and give commands. If it's on a charger, you can basically call out the feature, and guess what? It's gonna respond. So right here, quick demonstration. Okay, Google, who's the president of the United States?
Barack Obama is the president of the United States of America.
There you go. So if the screen is on, okay, Google, what's the temperature outside?
It's 82 degrees in Brooklyn right now.
And if you notice, the Motorola launched faster. But either way, that doesn't really matter. That doesn't really matter. It's by seconds, milliseconds. So in that department, and also let me add in, this is the only phone that's been able to wake me up from a deep sleep on a consistent basis. The Samsung has been having some issues, but it does wake me up. But the Nexus is 100% in waking me up from a deep sleep. So when it comes to the OK Google Now features, I gotta give it to the Nexus. The Nexus runs the show in that department. But Samsung, you absolutely are getting better in that department. Now, the feature of launching this camera, when you're able to double click on this home button to launch the camera, that's absolute boss. Absolute boss. Now, while we already here, I rather these on-screen buttons than these capacitive buttons here at the bottom. Because what these buttons do, they kind of eliminate your bezel. In other words, if you're holding the phone like this and you suddenly let go, because you know you need to maneuver your phone, you just made a command. Now, sometimes you're going to make a command you don't want to make. So when it comes to how stock Android does it with on-screen buttons versus Samsung with their capacitive buttons, it's not working for me. It's absolutely not working for me, because just by holding it, you're making a command that you don't want to make. And right there, I wasn't trying to make that command. So I have to hold the phone a little differently, be a little conscious that I should pick it up like this, because these buttons will react if I'm watching video. So if you're watching a movie, you're going to be a little bit upset if these buttons jump you out of that movie. So pretty much they can keep the home button, but use on-screen buttons at the same time. That will be a very big improvement to the Note line, even the S line, because I'm sure the same problem happens there. Now, the side bezels are smaller, but they're more sensitive. This is a very sensitive phone, this Note 5. So when it comes to overall feel of the OS and so forth, I have to give it to stock Android. It feels better. But guess what? In this battle, which is about to end, I'm going to tell you right now, once I whip out this S Pen, game over. Once you whip out the S Pen and start talking about these features, guys, Samsung wins. Period. End of story. Samsung wins. This S Pen is the absolute bomb. This is the reason why I got this phone. And I'm going to give you an example why. Right now, I'm going to tell you this. You meet someone on the subway, you meet someone on the street, they tell you their name is Amy. Now, you don't know Amy. She's giving you her number, you know. She's giving you her number of 212-221-2121. Now, she's giving you that number. You got her number. Within what? 5-10 seconds, you got her number. And you're ready to go. It's already saved in your phone. You can call her later. And it's goodbye. You don't have to right there open up your phone, put your hand on there, on the unlock your phone, press contacts, and then go ahead and press for new contact, put her name in, put her number in. Right there, you're taking 30 seconds. Her train just came. She got to jump on the train, and you're still fingering around with your phone. That don't work for me, guys. That is why I got the Note. That's one of the reasons why I like the Note, because of this S Pen. This S Pen, you can program extra apps that you need to use with the S Pen. That is the absolute bomb. So whether you're doing a little note, whether in Google Keep or S Note, you know, you could do other commands as well, we're not going to get into. And guess what? You got to be a ultimate fool to put this in backwards. Every note is built the same way, and if you put the pen in backwards, you will mess up the insides. That's enough about that. So with that, guys, this is the review between the Note 5 and the Nexus 6. I'm going to tell you right now, once you pull out that S Pen, Samsung wins. Any phone, I'm sure every phone that's coming up, once I pull out that S Pen, game over. Note 5 wins. That S Pen is boss. So with that, you guys know who won this. See you guys in the next one.